Welcome to the program today. Mondo Gonzalez here in studio with Bill Salus, and we are going to be sharing with you a Middle East update which you are not going to want to miss, so stick around. Well, welcome back, and here we go. Before I get to Bill Salus, I want to remind everybody a couple of awesome items. One of them is our June 27th through 30th conference in Colorado Springs. Again, we're going to have 20 speakers going through all of the latest things. As you know, when we have come together with some of these conferences, people are extremely excited because all of their favorite Bible teachers are all in one hallway. So it's a tremendous time. Again, there's a lot going on prophetically, and we certainly want to keep everybody informed. Also invite you, we are going and having an Alaska cruise August 5th through the 12th. If you've ever wanted to go Alaska, it's a great time to be there. We're going to be not only enjoying the beauty of what God has created, but also we have 6 different speakers who are going to be teaching prophecy all during that week. Great AlaskaProphecyCruise.com, or simply go to prophecywatchers.com. We have people already signed up. It's going amazing, the people and the response for it. So we certainly invite you to join us. But right now, again, as you look around in the Middle East, we know, especially since October 7th, when Hamas came and attacked Israel, not only did that start a snowball rolling, but there is so much going on, and we want to give you an update on that from our guest today. Bill, welcome.
Mondo, it's great to be back on the program.
And you know, you have written, which I'm so glad you did, you have written an excellent article for our magazine, which came out recently. And one of the things that you said in the article, Bill, is that what you saw in 2023 is that the genie has been let out of the bottle. The toothpaste has come out. We're not putting it back in, however you want to phrase it. So kind of give us a summary of what you've seen in 2023, all the way up to what we saw in October.
Yeah, really, October 7th was the game changer, in my estimation. Israel had been, kind of going back and forth with Hamas and a little bit with Syria. Of course, they've continued to war with Syria. But at this point in time, they've got to be all in, and they are all in. They've gone into the Gaza intensely. As we sit here and speak, they're even moving down into the Rafah and that sort of thing like that, crossing. So basically, Israel's all in at this point, with their eye on the north, also with Lebanon. Hezbollah's got 150,000 missiles that they've strengthened and fortified in 2023. Syria has chemical weapons. Iran was working in 2023, getting some of those chemical weapons into Hezbollah's hands. Everything is extremely dangerous at this point in time. As we film this program, we've got tens of thousands of Israelis who are evacuated from the north, living in hotels for well over 4 months now. Everything is in play. Something's got to happen to get Israel to be able to get secure again, deal with the problems around them, not to mention the fact that Iran may as well, more than likely, has some nuclear weapons already in their arsenal at this point.
I mean, if you're watching this, you might think, well, why again are we always talking about Israel? And hasn't Israel had a lot of wars? And certainly, Bill, they have. But we're coming to a point now where here we are in 2024, where, as we know, Iran has been the main troublemaker in the Middle East, especially for Israel. But we've talked, and we've done many programs going all the way back to discussing, this agreement, the JCPOA agreement of 2015. And so here we are. But if you just give me a couple items, what is different right now that is different than 2015? I mean, what would be a distinction? You'd say, hey, look, this is why we have come to the point of no return.
Yeah, well, in 2015, of course, the JCPOA was put together at the time of the Obama administration. Iran had set limits on the nuclear enrichment capabilities. Of course, in May of 2018, Donald Trump was president, and he withdrew from that agreement. Back around September or October of 2023, Iran stopped allowing the inspectors to come in from the IAEA. At this point in time now, we have no idea how far along they progressed, but shortly after stopping them from coming forward and inspecting, we found out around November of 2023 that they had enriched uranium up 22 times the amount that was allowed with the JCPOA. And roughly at this point in time, most of that is enriched up to 60% purity, which means there's a stone's throw away from having a nuclear weapon. And when they stopped the IAEA from doing inspections, reports were saying they were just 2 weeks away from back then in September from having enough fissile material to build nuclear weapons at that point. So we think at presently they could literally have 3 to 5 explosive-ready nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and certainly what we've seen over the past several years is this consolidation of Iran's proxies. But you see what happened on October 7th. It's almost as if, and I read several reports of this, that you had this conspiracy of agreement. Okay, we're going to all go in together. Iran's all the proxies were going to go in at once, and really try to overwhelm Israel. And certainly we know that Hamas went in and they overwhelmed Israel, at least for a short period of time, and of course all the trouble and the murderous terrorist spree. But the other hand is, it seems that one of the reports was that Hamas wanted the glory for themselves, and they went too fast, and they preempted the rest of the group. I mean, I don't know whether that's true or not, but what happened there? Talk about Israel's recognition of realizing, oh, we can't just do a minor response here. We have to take them out.
I write in the article that I believe Iran is executing through its proxies a multifaceted, multi-layered program against Israel to wipe them off the map, which is their stated intention. The question arises, when will the other layers come forward? We see that Hezbollah is involved. They've lobbed several thousand missiles into Israel since October 7th into the northern part of Israel. Of course, Israel's evacuated tens of thousands of Israelis living in hotels presently. The Houthis have been trying to stop commerce and ships going through the Red Sea. Syria has been sort of laying on the sideline at this point in time, although Israel is still bombing there.
Lots of bombings.
Trying to make sure that weapons do not continue to supply from Iran through Syria into Hezbollah's hands. But at some point, it's very likely that Israel's going to have to deal with Hezbollah, Syria on a much larger level, and Iran too. The question is, about Hezbollah, why are they simply not using all their precision-guided advanced missiles at this point? And I write in the article, Mondo, if I can, I believe there's 5 reasons we should think about. Basically, one of the things that with using Hezbollah, just a lot pinpricking with their strikes, a lot of these missiles are falling indiscriminately in the fields. Some are being picked up by the Iron Dome, but some of them have caused serious casualties and forced the evacuations of tens of thousands of residents, like we said. One of the things that's being accomplished right now is the Israeli Defense Forces are being spread thin as they're diverting troops down into the Gaza, so they can't have so many on the northern border of Lebanon. Of course, there are quite a few troops up on the northern border engaged in war. They are in war with Hezbollah, not on the level that I think they're going to be here shortly. Number 2, it's depleting some of Israel's missile defense systems, Iron Dome, et cetera, like that. Gives Hezbollah more of an opportunity when they want to go full throttle to have less missile defense systems to prevent that. 3, it's creating danger, chaos, and hysteria among the civilians living in northern Israel, which is causing them to leave, rendering them useless should they become non-combatants. In other words, if there's a ground war going house to house, they're not there to fight alongside to protect their houses, their interests. Makes them a refugee burden on Israel in general. And of course, all tourism is gone. It's out the window in general in Israel, but especially in the north, so it's affecting the economy. The other thing, too, that we're watching even on a much larger level now, involving the international community, not just the Muslims, Arab states, which says provides more time for the international community and the Muslim nations within it to further unite in a propaganda media war. We'll talk about that, maybe spend a moment on that. And then lastly, it gives Iran more time to arm their hypersonic ballistic missiles with nuclear weapons that are explicitly intended to wipe the Jewish state off of the map. And last year, in 2023, they came out with a hypersonic ballistic missile that can get to Israel in 400 seconds, which is 6.66 minutes. It travels 5 times the speed of sound and can carry a nuclear warhead. Imagine that less than
Yep.
less than 7 seconds, they could have this blow up in a nuclear weapon in Israel.
One of the things that we're doing here, again, is covering Bill's article that he wrote in the magazine, which is tremendous. And if you don't get our magazine, I encourage you to do that, because these are the types of articles that will continue to keep you informed. So we're going to take a little break. You can see how to get the magazine. And we're, again, lots of writers that speak and contribute to the magazine. So take a listen.
In case you haven't noticed, the whole world is spinning out of control. But we are not surprised, because many of the things taking place were prophesied in the Bible thousands of years ago. That's why we want to offer you a very special subscription to our magazine, The Prophecy Watcher, that will keep you on the cutting edge of Bible prophecy. Stay informed on prophetic world events. Follow the nuclear threats from Russia and Iran, China's march to world domination, the likelihood of another global pandemic, the rise of artificial intelligence and transhumanism, war in the Middle East, the UFO phenomenon, and the latest technology preparing the world for the mark of the beast. With your gift of $50 or more to support the worldwide outreach of Prophecy Watchers, you will receive 12 issues of the magazine in either print or digital format. You will also receive 10 bonus DVDs that feature in-depth teaching on the ancient book of Enoch, heaven and the New Jerusalem, the biblical case for the rapture, a look at how God put the gospel in the stars, what really happened at the Tower of Babel, and Ezekiel's prophecy on the battle of Gog and Magog. This special offer is available anywhere in the United States with free shipping included. Don't wait. Pick up the phone right now and call the toll-free number on your screen, or visit us at prophecywatchers.tv. Stand with us today and help us take the message of Christ's soon return to the whole world.
Well, welcome back. And before the break, Bill, we were discussing the nature of 2023 and how you had this, kind of tit for tat all the way through the year, and then October 7th happened. And Israel had to respond. This wasn't just some minor incursion. This was a massive murdering spree. And then they made the commitment not only just to go in there for a little bit, but we have to completely eliminate Hamas from existence, every last one of them. They no longer can be in control. And so they began this, as we know, this operation to completely remove. But now, this is going to shape the scenario, because for doing that, every day, it's 120 days, 130 days, however long it's been, every day we see the propaganda machine of all of the surrounding nations, the world, the United Nations, even the United States getting sucked up into it. But now the world of public opinion is coming against Israel for doing what they need to do. Talk about how that's going to shape the rest of what we anticipate for the coming times.
Well, that's working toward Iran and its proxies' favor. It's one of the reasons Iran can still let them sort of sit on the sidelines, Hezbollah and Syria, and the Houthis still get them involved. But as long as Hamas can still be the victim in the eye of the international community, it works towards a propaganda war, which enables Iran, of course, to get more nuclear weapons in their arsenal and that sort of thing. But I think at this point, as we go forward looking into the new year, since we do believe the genie is out of the bottle in the Middle East, we could be looking at prophecies setting up to find fulfillment, maybe even in 2024, Mondo.
Yeah, so I mean, what we want to do now is I hope you got your Bibles out, because again, we're here to teach the Bible. And so let's talk about the potential scenarios. We have, again, as we mentioned, the players, Egypt in the south, we got Hezbollah in the north, Syria in the northeast, even Jordan to the east, and of course the Palestinians in the West Bank still. We see some trouble happening down as it relates to the Gaza operation, even into Egypt, where Egypt and Jordan have said no Palestinians coming into our area, and they've been very strong about that. So let's start presenting what we see happening, because what do we have? And you can bring it all together for me. We got Psalm 83, we got Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Jeremiah 49, and Isaiah 19, a couple other passages. Kind of lay out what you see as a potential scenario here.
Yeah, let's take a big look, like an overview. Let's look at Zechariah 12, verse 2. It talks about a time coming where not the world at large, the surrounding peoples, will lay siege on Judah and Jerusalem. And we find out that when that happens, in Zechariah 12, verse 6, it says that in that time he says, I'll make Jerusalem a cup of trembling to all the surrounding peoples. Matter of fact, why don't you read it?
Yeah, Zechariah 12:6. In that day I will make the governors of Judah like a fire pan in the woodpile, and like a fiery torch in the sheaves. They shall devour all the surrounding peoples on the right hand and on the left, but Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in its own place.
Yeah, so I think at some point in time, we need to be keeping our eye on that prophecy. All the people surrounding Israel, the surrounding nations, are going to want to make a final siege against Judah and Jerusalem. Now that would perhaps include Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, etc. Now these people are also involved in Psalm 83, which is another prophecy that could find relationships there. But when you talk about Syria and Iran and Lebanon, you're dealing with proxies of Iran, Hezbollah is in Lebanon, with 150,000 or more missiles pointed at Israel. Syria with chemical weapons. So we have a prophecy in Isaiah 17 that talks about a day would come, Isaiah 17:1, where Damascus will cease from being a city, will become a ruinous heap. It says in Isaiah 17, verse 9, that desolation is caused by the children of Israel, the destruction of the oldest continuously inhabited city in recorded history, Damascus. Isaiah 17, verse 14 says, when night you see him, speaking of Damascus in the masculine pronoun, in the morning he is no more. This is a portion of those who rob us and those who plunder us, alluding to the fact that in self-defense, Israel has to take out the city. So my thing is, well, how come Israel gets to a point in their war where they actually have to use probably a nuclear weapon and take out a city? What causes them to get to that point? And you and I discussed this in the back meeting here before we came on the set. Isaiah 17, 4 through 6 tells us a very important passage. Do you have that close by?
Yeah, I can absolutely read that. Because really this is I think one of the most powerful passages of Scripture in my mind, which helps shape some of the sequences that we have here. Isaiah 74, in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob will wane, and the fatness of his flesh grow lean. It shall be as when the harvester gathers the grain and reaps the heads with his arm. It shall be as he who gathers heads of grain in the valley of Rephaim. Yet gleaning grapes will be left in it, like the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 olives at the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in its most fruitful branches, says the Lord God of Israel.
So what's interesting to me, it says in that day that Damascus ceases from being a city, the glory of Jacob will fade. That's Israel.
Yeah.
In other words, they take a hit. The fatness of his flesh grows lean. It talks about, the wheat and the gleaning of the grapes, but there's a shaking of an olive tree with a few olives in the uppermost branch and a few more in the fruitful bough. But an olive tree is a common tree. It's actually the national tree of Israel. Can have up to 500,000 olives on it. This is a severe shaking causing Israel's glory to fade. And so I superimpose a map, olive tree over the map of Israel, and to the north, of course, you have where all these people are evacuated, in Haifa and things like that presently. Tel Aviv would be sort of in the center area, and of course, Iran has said we're going to take out, if we're attacked, we're going to take out Haifa and Tel Aviv. They've actually stated that. It's a stated intention. So in my estimation, Israel finds itself in a prison rules war, if you will, and much bigger than we're dealing with Hamas presently, to the point where they actually have to grab their nuclear weapons off their shelf and take out a city. And that's my concern. And when that happens, the other surrounding peoples we talked about in Zechariah 12 verses 2, they're going to say, well, gee, Israel's hurt. They just took out a major Arab city. Let's just prevent them from taking out another major Arab city, probably nuclear, Beirut in Lebanon, Amman in Jordan, the capital of Jordan, Cairo in Egypt, Mecca in Saudi Arabia perhaps, etc. So I think at that point they realize, hey, look, we can get them now, and we don't want to be the next victim. We don't want our capital city to be the next one to go down. So I think that perhaps Zechariah 12, which I find association because it's the surrounding peoples. There's a confederacy in Psalm 83 talking about those same surrounding peoples. Lebanon, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, the Palestinians, the Hamas, whatever's going to be left of them after this confrontation. I think there could be a correlation there. So now we're talking Psalm 83, Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17. In what order, I'm not exactly sure. You and I have kind of talked about maybe it could be Isaiah 17, then Psalm 83, or it could be Psalm 83, Zechariah 12, leading toward Isaiah 17. But anyway, you look at it, these are game-changing events that will affect the world because end times biblical prophecy is globally impacting.
You know, as we think about this, we might ask the question, well, again, why do I even need to know about this? Well, the fact of the matter is that God has put these things in his text, and here we are watching them set the stage and be ready to be unfolded, which again reveals to us that we're living at the end of the age and we need to be ready at all times for the Lord's return. It also helps us to understand that God is 100% absolutely in control. And he allows these things, he's predicted these things in order ultimately to bring, again, and to get the world to come to a place of repentance so that they can come to know salvation. And so as we think about that, Bill has written a lot about this. I encourage you to be active on his website, prophecydepotministries.com. But we're going to take a little break here where you can see how to, again, to stay informed. And again, with the goal is not just to have the knowledge for yourself, but to be persuaded that it is true so that we can evangelize and share the truth with those whom we love, who we want to see rescued prior to the tribulation. So take a listen.
Connecting the dots to the multiple prophecies in the Old Testament that reveal the future is not uncomplicated. But books of the Bible that were written over 2,000 years ago are coming to life today. Prophecies from the Psalms, Zechariah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation share God's plans in detail, but organizing the timing of these end-time events require a lifetime of study and understanding of current events. And Bill Salus is the man to help us visualize the timeline that began in 1948, but seems to have accelerated rapidly on October 7th. Events have escalated in the last 5 months, and Israel is fighting battles on all sides from multiple enemies. The Bible tells us that all nations of the world will turn against Israel in the last days. And just recently, we've seen our own country attempt to remove Prime Minister Netanyahu from office, declare a unilateral ceasefire without Israel's participation, and limit the military help we provide to Israel. This cannot bode well for America's future. What fulfilled prophecy will happen next? An attack from Iran prophesied by Jeremiah? The destruction of Damascus from Isaiah's writings? The Russian and Iranian attack on Israel from Ezekiel 38? Leave it to Bill to paint a roadmap for us, taking us from October 7th all the way to Armageddon. He details his studies in both the Bill Salus book or the Bill Salus DVD collections. You have a choice of his books or his corresponding DVDs: the Now Prophecies, the Next Prophecies, the Last Prophecies, the Final Prophecies, the Millennium Prophecies, and the Future Prophecies. Either one is available for your gift of $75 or more, with shipping included anywhere in the USA. Call the toll-free number you see on your screen or visit us online at prophecywatchers.tv. For our international friends, please note that additional shipping fees will apply and all prices are in US dollars. We have 2 great technology options. Get both the books and the DVDs together on a flash drive that plugs right into your computer for the same $75 with free shipping and a surprise bonus included as well. Just ask for the Bill Salus flash drive package. Also, all of Bill's DVDs are available for streaming via our on-demand site. Simply go to prophecywatchers.com and click on the streaming tab to view these exciting messages from anywhere around the world. Thanks for your support and encouragement as we continue to warn the world of things to come. And don't forget to join us in Colorado Springs for our next prophecy conference, June 27th through 30th of this year. We'll see you here, there, or in the air.
Well, welcome back. And again, here we are talking to Bill Salus. And Bill, one of the things that you discussed at the conference, which I think was very helpful, is there's this disagreement among brothers that Zechariah 12 is in reference to Armageddon, and so is Zechariah 14 in reference to Armageddon. And you addressed that at the conference, but kind of help us here to give a summary why Zechariah 12, we're not waiting for Armageddon. We will possibly see this in the near future.
Yeah, the reason people connect Zechariah 12 with Zechariah 14, which Zechariah 14 is clearly dealing with the Armageddon campaign, is because in Zechariah 12:3 it talks about the nations of the world are gathered together against Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem is going to become a cup of trembling to the surrounding peoples.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Lord is saying, I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup of trembling. And he's warning in the next verse, don't meddle, even though you're assembling against Jerusalem at this point, it'll become a burdensome stone. We find out that the nation assembling and trying to meddle with the status of Jerusalem at that time, when it's a cup of trembling and the surrounding peoples are laying siege on it, is an unsuccessful siege, because we read in Zechariah 12:6 that the Israeli Defense Forces are going to win the war against the surrounding peoples and devour them on the left hand and the right hand. And that will end the Arab-Israeli conflict. Now go ahead and read Zechariah 14, verses 1 through 2, where they get the idea of that's Armageddon.
Behold, the day of the Lord is coming, and your spoil will be divided in your midst, for I will gather all the nations to battle against Jerusalem. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Half of the city shall go into captivity, but the remnant of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So, give us a 30-second summary here on this.
Now that's a successful siege. Mm-hmm. They're not having to move a burdensome stone. It's not a cup of trembling. The Lord is gathering them there and bringing them there for the purposes of the Armageddon campaign at that point, at the end, the latter part of the second half of the tribulation. Zechariah 12 is dealing with an unsuccessful siege like we talked about, and it's involving the Israeli Defense Forces. The Armageddon campaign, the Israeli Defense Forces are not involved. It's Jesus Christ, we're told in Revelation 19, Isaiah 63, and elsewhere. He single-handedly takes out the Armageddon campaign, the Antichrist and his armies and that sort of thing. So we see a successful siege in Zechariah chapter 14. But we covered this all in the conference. I invite the viewers to get that live stream so they can watch all. There's lots of objections to why Zechariah 12 is not part of an Armageddon campaign.
Bill, appreciate your time. I wish we had more time. But again, you can get the on-demand if you want, prophecywatchers.com. But at the end of the day, here we are. God has given us the details, and that's why we're here sharing this information with you, to see that prophecy is being fulfilled in our very day. We're watching it happen, and we have a blueprint for what's coming. But again, we appreciate your prayers and support for all that we do here at Prophecy Watchers. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
The media ministry of Prophecy Watchers exists only through the faithful prayer and financial support of friends like you. It's in times like these we're reminded just how essential this gospel-centered Bible ministry truly is. So, won't you do what you can to keep this teaching on the air? Thank you for your prayers and gifts.